Hey y'all, it's Morgan and I am back with another reading recommendation for the Chronically Ill. This is Tales of a Spoonie Warrior by Saidee Wynn. It's a short read with short chapters and just 152 pages. She starts off by talking about invisible illness, which I think should be talked about more because it's more common than people think. And she gives her honest insights about living with invisible illnesses, which I think are super relatable for anybody else that also has an invisible illness. Just an interesting tidbit about her, she identifies as a former overachiever, which I can relate to. She then tells a little bit about herself before she got sick. She was in her late 20s, a middle school teacher, a mother, and had a new husband. And everything seemed to be going in the right direction until she got hit with her chronic illnesses and got diagnosed with POTS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She then goes on to talk about the loss of identity, and there's this one bit that really struck a nerve with me. Now that I'm tasked with the job of trying to find myself again, well, maybe that's not entirely accurate. It's more like I'm rebuilding myself. My illnesses tore down and destroyed so many of the building blocks that made me who I was before. I'm now searching for new building blocks, as well as sifting through the wreckage to see which blocks may have survived. The next chapter talks about mobility aids and the stigma around them, especially when younger people are using them. And this is where she starts addressing ableism, which is a pretty common theme throughout the book. And something about her that I really like is that she's not into toxic positivity, and parts of this book are combating toxic positive statements. Okay, so each chapter is pretty short, so I'm not going to say much about each one because I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to give the gist of what is to come in the book. There is a poem describing chronic pain, a lesson on our ever-evolving purpose, and a chapter about how social media can be a lifeline for people with chronic illnesses and disability. Saidee tells us about Spoon Theory by Christine Miserandino and shares 10 signs you might be a spoonie. Not meant to diagnose, but to poke a little fun at the common experiences. The next section's got a few laughs out of me as she described the difficulties of cleaning and gave some impractical yet funny advice on how to keep your house clean. And she also gives us some insight into her thoughts while she's trying to exercise, dealing with exercise intolerance. After a few lighthearted chapters, the tone gets a bit more serious as Saidee talks about some of her experiences with doctors, which are all too relatable to many of us, such as not being believed or test results coming back normal when something is clearly wrong. She then goes on to tell us 8 things that spoonies are over, which she's pretty spot on, as well as 5 reasons that unsolicited advice hurts more than it helps. She lets us know that it's okay to not be okay, that we're human, and that we have to let ourselves grieve the past versions of ourselves and the future that we thought we would have. She lets us in on the unique lessons that a child with a disabled parent will learn, as well as the high cost of chronic illnesses. She educates us about the fight for accessibility and the benefits and pitfalls of the Americans with Disabilities Act from 1990, along with the importance of the continuing fight for a truly accessible world. She gives us examples of her struggles with accessibility that are all too common. She tells us why disability is not a bad word, and why phrases like differently abled are problematic and perpetuate ableism. And in the last section, she shares some tips and tricks about planning a spoonie-friendly wedding, traveling, and toxic holidays. I highly recommend this book if any of these topics sound relatable. Reading books by chronically ill and disabled authors has helped me immensely in processing my own situation, even when our illnesses and disabilities are not the same. And I hope that by making these videos, books like this can reach more people that need them. If you like this video and want more book recommendations for the chronically ill, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot and helps videos like this reach more people. I'm planning to get one of these book videos out per month, so be sure to stick around. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I hope to see you again soon in the next video. Bye!